We conducted an interview with Kōhei Horikoshi, the original creator of My Hero Academia. He talked about his feelings toward the work and his own image of a hero. First, please tell us how you felt when it was decided that the comic would be adapted into an anime.
If I remember correctly, I heard about the anime adaptation around the time the third volume of the comics was released, and I was just completely surprised. It had been less than a year since the serialization started, so at first I was only confused. After that, when I reported it to my friends and family, they were very happy. Seeing their joyful reactions made me finally realize, wow, this is amazing! It's going to be an anime! And I was finally able to genuinely feel happy.
What was the trigger for the creation of My Hero Academia?
When my second serialized work ended quickly, I was really down emotionally, and I lost the motivation to come up with new ideas for manga. But I knew I had to come up with the next work's idea soon. So I decided to focus only on the parts I enjoyed drawing from the works I had done so far. I had fun when I drew a one-shot called My Hero before, so I thought to base the serialization on that. However, even so, this current work incorporates various favorite elements from my past works. So, at this point, My Hero Academia might be considered the culmination of everything I've done so far.
Were there any manga or anime you liked when you were little, Horikoshi-sensei?
I used to read Dragon Ball. I remember repeatedly reading the volumes around the Cell games, which took place during the Android saga.
Have you been influenced by Dragon Ball?
Inside me, there's a desire that the strongest guy should be muscular and have incredible power. For example, I really love how strong Goku looked when he became a Super Saiyan in Dragon Ball. I think All Might was influenced by that to some extent.
How about anime?
I really loved the anime Mashin Hero Wataru and watched it a lot. I really liked the character Shibaraku-sensei and even imitated him sometimes.
My Hero Academia has a distinctive American comic book flavor. Have you liked that style for a long time?
My initial interest started with Sam Raimi's live-action movie Spider-Man. It was so impactful that I gradually began reading other American comics. I simply thought they were cool. As for what I reference, for example, the character layouts feel different from Japanese manga. Also, the placement of sound effects for punches in the artwork, and the darkness in the drawings, the way shadows are applied. Regarding the balance of filled-in black areas, I look at various American comics carefully and think, oh, if you put it here, it creates this kind of expression. I'm still not drawing it very well, but I'm learning as I go.
Director Nagasaki of the anime said your work is a classic jump style, yet somehow new. The American comic flavor might be one element. Are you conscious of that?
Honestly, I don't really draw with the intention of making it different from other manga. But as an overall image of the work, when I created All Might, I felt pulled in that direction.
Of the characters in your manga, is All Might your favorite?
Surprisingly, I can't really play around with All Might. He's the #1 hero and a symbol of peace, so I have to be very careful and revise his lines many times. I said and draw him myself, but it's tough. On the other hand, the character I can draw more freely is Katsuki Bakugo. I like Katsuhiro Otomo's Akira, and there's a character named Tetsuo who, while still a kid, has immense power. How should I put it? His way of using power is very childlike. I really like that, and I wanted to include that kind of character in my manga. So Katsuki's personality is mentally like a child, but with incredible power. He fights by flying around and yells loudly and noisily, which is fun to draw. Readers might be annoyed by him, but personally, he's very enjoyable for me to draw, and one of my favorites.
When you draw a story, are there things you pay attention to or particular points you're particular about?
The story between Deku and All Might is the main axis of the plot, but actually, I think it's not a very bright story. Since the anime hasn't started yet, I can't say much, but when you emphasize what Deku and All Might bear and their story alone, it tends to become darker and darker. I think it's partly because of my own personality, which tends to retreat inward. To avoid that, I try to balance the vertical axis with a horizontal axis, so to speak. In drawing the manga, I enjoy the playful parts. For heroes, that means quirks, side characters, and so on. to neutralize the somewhat gloomy parts of the vertical axis. So I keep in mind to enjoy the horizontal axis, to enjoy it myself and keep it bright.
Among the episodes you've drawn so far, do you have any that you particularly enjoy drawing or think are good stories, your personal favorites?
I like all of them in my own way, but I think the episode where Deku and Katsuki fight for the first time in combat training, which will probably be in the anime too, was drawn with a lot of passion. As a serialized work, it was a scene where I thought I absolutely had to grab the reader strongly. It's one of the highlights early in the manga, so I worked hard on it and like it. Also, since it got proper evaluation from everyone there, I felt relieved. Including that, I think it's the most memorable for me.
Next, I'd like to ask about the main cast of the anime. First, what is your impression of Daiki Yamashita, the voice actor for Deku?
Actually, I hadn't really imagined Deku's voice originally, but when I first heard Deku's voice in the voice comic, I thought, oh, so this is what his voice is like. After that, I couldn't imagine any voice other than Yamashita's in the voice comic version. So when I listened to many voice actors during the anime audition, I just couldn't imagine anyone other than Yamashita.
How about Nobuhiko Okamoto, who plays Bakugo?
I felt that Okamoto was just right for Katsuki. As I mentioned earlier, Katsuki's image was like Tetsuo from Akira, and Okamoto's voice has a somewhat childish, mischievous quality. His way of speaking really conveyed the feeling of a middle schooler who's a bit cocky, so I thought, Okamoto is perfect for this, and it fit perfectly.
And what about Ayane Sakura as Ochako and Kaito Ishikawa as Ida?
Sakura's Ochako is simply adorable. I'm also looking forward to how her voice will sound during battle scenes. As for Ida, even though I created the character myself, Ida's personality wasn't very clear to me at first. But when I heard Ishikawa's voice, I thought, I see, because there were aspects that matched the character perfectly.
Lastly, about Kenta Miyake, the voice actor for All Might. He was said to be very difficult to portray.
When I heard Miyake's performance as All Might, I felt like he was crouching down and matching eye level when talking to Deku. All Might isn't someone who talks from a superior position, and when I thought about it carefully, I realized that my own perception of All Might was off. Just from hearing his acting a little, I could sense that, so I really love Miyake's All Might.
I believe you saw the first moving video in the PV last year. What was your impression then?
It was just amazing. I can only say what anyone would say. I thought, the drawings are really moving. How should I put it? It was truly incredible, and I found myself naturally grinning while watching it. At that time, I was working with the staff, and I didn't want them to see me grinning so much. I was just really happy. It was a long-held dream for me, the manga being turned into an anime. Honestly, all I can say is that I was just happy.
What are you most looking forward to with the anime adaptation?
Definitely the action. I'm curious about how the scenes that move in the manga will actually be animated. Sometimes I get feedback from readers that the action in the original work can be hard to understand, so I think the anime can show it clearly and spectacularly. I want it to be as flashy and intense as possible. I have very high expectations for Studio Bones. I'm really looking forward to it.
By the way, I heard that Horikoshi-sensei has been a fan of character designer Umakoshi-san for a long time. What did you think when you heard he was participating in the anime production?
I couldn't believe it. It felt like the story was too good to be true. Regarding the anime adaptation, I hadn't really thought about who I wanted to be involved, nor had I discussed it with my editor. But it felt like someone had researched me thoroughly, laid out a path, and was lifting me up and making me happy. I even felt like it might all be overturned later because it was just too perfect a story. I was happy, but my happiness was a bit overwhelming.
Who is your favorite hero?
Definitely Goku from Dragon Ball and Spider-Man. When asked about heroes, these two come to mind. Goku gives a sense of relief when he shows up in a pinch. For example, on Namek, when Goku was healing from his injuries and his friends were getting beaten up, I felt a huge sense of relief when Goku finally recovered and came out. It was like, it's okay now. Just Goku's arrival felt like a victory.
That sense of relief is something I haven't found in other characters, and I've thought about it a lot afterward. For me, a hero is someone who helps others and provides that sense of security. As for Spider-Man, as I mentioned earlier, I got into him through the live-action movies, and I always thought he was cool whenever he helped people. Also, recently I watched an Anpan-Man movie, and he's really cool too. Even the ordinary citizens, like Kabayo-kun, get beaten up by Biken-Man, but when Anpan-Man shows up, it's absolutely fine. When Anpan-Man arrives, everyone suddenly feels like, let's beat him. That kind of thing is amazing. Just one person appearing can make a whole crowd's mood positive. I think that's a sense of security, and that kind of presence is what a hero is. Of course, there are many ideas of what a hero is, and some people might disagree with mine, but that's how I see heroes. With My Hero Academia, I want to properly portray that kind of hero.
Lastly, please give a message to your readers and fans.
The anime adaptation is being produced so lavishly that it feels almost beyond what I deserve. And on the contrary, I think I have to keep up so I don't get left behind. I'm really looking forward to the anime that much, so I hope to keep the manga original just as exciting. Thank you for your continued support.